Hey guys, Jugs here, and I'm so excited for Halloween! No, seriously, it's like my second favorite holiday behind Christmas. I'm serious! Halloween, the one day out of the year where kids and teens get to go out and collect candy from complete strangers throughout the whole neighborhood. Also a day where dentists get to cash in on potential cavity appointments the next day. For me, it's a day where I can just sit down and marathon horror movies at the comfort of my own home while waiting for those little shits to ring on my door, forcing me to stop my marathon and give them candy and tell them to fuck off. If you can't tell, I don't like the trick-or-treating aspect to it. For me, Halloween is about the atmosphere and the many events that happen within the confines of my city. Haunted Hayrides in Sleepy Hollow to Fright Fest at Six Flags make up my month of October. With all that Halloween cheer, I'm neglecting one thing, intentionally because of the subject matter of this video. I'm talking about costumes. Dress up as whoever you want, ranging from the many Where's Waldo costumes to the sexy witches and to more obscene costumes, which I don't even want to mention because YouTube will flag my video as inappropriate. Costumes are a staple to Halloween, but what if you take that idea of costumes and add a bit of imagination to it? Well, you have Costume Quest. Developed by Double Fine Studios. Yes, that Double Fine. The ones that made Psychonauts and Brutal Legend. So of course you would know this game is going to have its charm thanks to the likes of Tim Schafer, who co-wrote the story along with Elliot Roberts. Playing through the game, the charm factor is kept on a consistent basis, especially being kept in the perspective of the kids. It's not like Double Fine relies on punchlines for the humor. Like any Double Fine game, it relies on its gags that put a smile on your face. The story of this game is about twins, Ren and Reynold, who recently moved into their new neighborhood. They are suggested by their mom to go out trick-or-treating to make new friends around the neighborhood, on the condition they travel together. Of course, being siblings, they get into arguments a lot. That's just how siblings work. I don't make these rules up. In this part, you get to choose which sibling you want to play as, where the other becomes an NPC for the entire plot of the game. The two dressed into their costume, with the sibling you choose dressed as a robot, while the other is dressed as a piece of candy corn, much to the chagrin of whoever the lead character is. While trick-or-treating, they come across a grub and robbing a house of all its candy and sees the NPC sibling dressed as a piece of candy and abducts him or her. The player must now save their sibling in time before their curfew. Pretty simple to follow if you ask me. Plot is not that overbearing, therefore you don't fumble around with the lore of the game. In my opinion, this game can be a palate cleanser after playing a long game. I know it was for me after finishing Astro Chain, which is a roller coaster ride of a plot. How would I describe Costume Quest to a person who's never played this game before? I got a perfect idea. I got a hat full of descriptors right here, and I'll just draw one down and call it for the rest of the entire review. Let me just... There we go! RPG on training wheels, this is what I drew right here. I'm fine with that because this is what this game actually then. Hey! Wait a minute! All these say RPG on training wheels. Yeah, you heard that right. It's an RPG, but in spirit. The main hook of the game is that your party members' costumes when in battle transform from their cute costumes to badass versions of the costume they are currently wearing. Battles are turn-based, being only limited to 2 moves you use. You have your basic attack and your costume ability. Sometimes you are given a third depending on your stamp, but we'll go over stamps later. When you execute an attack, you are given a QTE to make your attacks hit a bit harder. These QTEs can be pressing a simple button, pressing a button when it hits a certain part of a bar, and moving around the joystick. If you fail these, your attacks will do less damage than normal. Kinda think about it. This game takes some examples from the Paper Mario games with their mini-games within the battle. However, in an interview with Gama Sutra, the director of the game, Tasha Harris, takes inspiration from Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy with its roots. She also mentioned that she takes inspiration from Earthbound with its atypical setting, because we all know that Earthbound broke the barrier of JRPGs at the time since many of them had a D&D setting to it. Now I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but I like it when a game doesn't follow its set guidelines with the genre that it is playing in. However, the game must have a good setting in order to grab the player's attention or also fall flat in its tracks. Taking Earthbound for example, it is grounded in reality, therefore we can relate to the characters. Same thing how Costume Quest is how we can relate to the kids within the game whenever they wear their costumes. And this is where Costume Quest captivated me. Enough for me to buy the game when it was on sale on Steam. The whole idea of putting on costumes for Halloween has a nostalgia factor to it, even if I don't like trick-or-treating in the first place. Okay, be honest with me, you pretended to be the character you dressed up as growing up. I know I did, and that was the fun aspect of trick-or-treating. So seeing that idea being embellished triggers that feeling of nostalgia to me. Going back to the idea of costumes, each character you meet in the game that forms your party has a default costume, but they can also change to other costumes too. This assumes you have the plan and materials to make the costumes. Plans are easy to find, so they are not that much of a challenge, let alone finding the materials since they can be found in the same area you were given the plan. Each costume has a special ability. One ability can do major damage, another can heal, make you impervious to damage, and of course pouring down a salt mine on your enemies to make them go blind. Now my enemies can cry about missing their turn because of how salty they are. Let me get my french fries, they desperately need the salt. Pairing along with your characters are stamps, which in Paper Mario terms are the badges of this game, except you can only equip one at a time, which sucks, but to the game's defense, these stamps do turn the tides of battle by a bit of a margin. Besides the ones that increase your HP, which are useless, you got the stamps that do splash damage, ones that allow you to dodge enemy attacks, and my favorites, the one that increases your attack power. Stamps are attained by purchasing them off of Sadie's Stamp Shop. Just exchange your candy you obtain from battle. Candy can also be obtained from doing your regular trick-or-treating around the 3 areas you visit in the game. Be careful with some houses though, because they sometimes have enemies and you are forced to battle them in order to clear the house. As a matter of fact, it is the objective of every area within this game to trick-or-treat every house and to drag the baddies out to where they came from. Silly monsters, candies are for kids. Now excuse me, I need to go get my Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I'll be back in a second. Along with your main objective of pushing monsters back into the corner, you are given side objectives which reward you with stamps and parts to make new costumes. Some levels force you to go through these side quests because some area of a level is blocked off and can only be passed through by having a certain costume. The area is too dark, find parts for the spaceman costume so you can illuminate your way through. Can't sneak past a certain NPC, grab the parts for the ninja gear and use Solid Snake your way through it. I live for these context sensitive moments. Even though you have to do a lot in each level, it comes to a point where missions repeat itself after the first area. Tasks that are found in one level are similar if not identical to the next level, each area having a similar candy collecting quest, hide and seek missions, trading exchanges, and apple bobbing minigames. Feels too cyclical for a short game like this. Not that being short is bad, it's just you expect a bit more variety than copy and pasting in this game. It seems they ran out of side quest ideas after the first area. Gets to the point of being a chore half of the time, so much that I even groan at the fact when an enemy appears at the door I'm knocking. Maybe it's because I had a preconceived notion that this game was going to be a breeze, but I get hit with the proverbial wall of game padding, or it could just be the fact that I was just trying to complete the game in one day. Enemy designs vary, however, they are devoid of tactical differences. Each of the enemy races fight almost exactly the same, so you can expect what they're going to do next. It adds a bit of a repetitive nature to the game. I want an enemy that can fuck me up if I'm playing a bit too gingerly at the slightest. Now, this is a personal take of mine if you don't mind a deviation a bit, but I feel this game is a bit too easy for me and could have benefited with a higher difficulty. Like before, the game could give me a higher difficulty setting so I have the choice if I want to challenge myself in my gameplay. Even with all the customization you could do with your characters, it does not cure the fact that the battle system feels shallow. You know how Paper Mario has a badge system that I mentioned in a couple paragraphs ago? Well, that system has a lot more choices to build your character compared to Costume Quest's stamp system. You're only limited to 2 attacks, where in other games you're given a multitude of attacks to open up with. For me, the peak of death in RPG games is the junction system in Final Fantasy VIII, which lets you draw magic and tie it up to a stat of a character. You can essentially break a game, which is what I look for in an RPG. Costume quests you feel limited with what you are given, not much customization with the costume and stamps. Then again, it's a game meant for first timers, however, it would be awesome if there were aspects of the game that could accommodate to veteran RPG gamers. Don't even get me started with the boss battles in this game. Let me preface this by saying that the first 2 are a perfect introduction to tougher battles in the game, but every boss afterwards becomes a damn sponge by absorbing any damage you deal to them. The padding is egregious when fighting them, not like it will solve their length problem to begin with. To show how bored I was just watching a show while pushing the attack button while going through these battles. It's like the game has a lot of good going for itself, but at the same time there are many flaws that held me back from enjoying the game. I give it the benefit of the doubt for being RPG light, but at the same time that doesn't excuse it for being so mundane for a good chunk of the game. I mean, yeah, give this game to someone who has never played an RPG, maybe they can enjoy it and get introduced to it. Once again, this can all be due to the fact that I had a preconceived notion about the game being a pushover, so my opinions might have been skewed. God damn! I need some water for all that heat I was spitting. I'll be back in a few. Alright, so where were we? Let's bring it all together. Okay, so you got an RPG that has an amazing concept and an amazing setting, which is really creative by itself. Dialogue is enjoyable and has its charm with their characters. Costume powers are very creative in general, but lack the depth they necessarily need that they have in an RPG. Not to mention, battles and missions could get very repetitive after the first go around. In my opinion, this is a perfect game to introduce someone to the RPG genre and to hopefully grow them into an RPG gamer themselves. Hence why I give this game my final score of an apple bobbing minigame out of 10. Okay, I know this DLC for this game, Grub, is on nice, but I'm gonna save that till later because we're still in Halloween and I don't want to be dealing with winter stuff in Halloween, so I'll save that for another review. But anyways, this is Jugs signing off and see you in the next video.